we're going to go ahead and put this on the timeline. Let's put it on there twice so we can see the difference. This is actually an H.264 codec. We're going to keep existing settings. What does it say? Yeah, that's what I just said. You want to keep existing sequence settings. And then we're going to put it down there again one more time. The reason it is because this has an H.264 codec, which is your sequence, but the video has an Apple ProRes codec on it because it was exported. So we're going to go ahead and let's go to the second clip. So the first clip lets you go back to see what it looked like before, and then this second clip is going to allow you to see what it looks like after. So let's go to the second clip, and then we're going to go over here to where your media browser is on the bottom left, and you'll notice you have an effects tab. If you click on the effects tab, it's going to have different folders that you can go to, but the nice thing is that it has a search option up top. In this search bar, if you type warp, it'll bring up your warp stabilizer. If I type 3 for like three-way color corrector, it'll bring up the three-way color corrector. So the search bar allows you to get to things that you want a little bit quicker just by typing it in. So you could even just type in THR and you get three-way or the threshold. So we are going to type in warp, and it brings up your warp stabilizer. You are going to click on this little icon that looks kind of like a film strip that had a baby with a Lego. And we're going to click on this little icon, and we're going to drag it over and drop it onto your video. With your playhead over your video, you're going to notice that it's saying it's analyzing in the background. So it's looking at your video. It's using like algorithms and things like that to determine what kind of shake you have and how it needs to adjust it. Now this process will take a little while. The longer the shot you have, the longer this analyzing process will take. So if you have like a 30-second shot or a minute shot, it's definitely going to take longer. However, if you have a 30-second shot or a minute shot, then you are having a problem anyway, because that's too long of a shot, you know, unless you're shooting like a wedding and doing the vows or something like that. Yeah.
Could you just like highlight all your clips and do warp, or do you have to?
You have to drag and drop on all of them. Now you can do it. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do it. If there's not a lot of movement in the shot, you don't need to do it. But this one you can see that it was handheld and it was shaky. Now if we go back and watch this, let's go back and watch this. So here we go. So a little bit of shake, but it's almost more like it's hovering and just a little bit of movement. But if you compare that to what we saw originally, which was this, way more shaky. Up and down, left and right, up and down, left and right, kind of definitely more shaky. So it can only save you from so much. You can still adjust it. It doesn't adjust the time. If you look, you'll notice, like, that's a good question. If you notice, the time is the same, right? So the duration of the clip is the exact same. The only thing that's slightly different is how much it zoomed in. It's zoomed in just a tiny bit more. If you look here, up here, let's do full, so they're the same. So you can see that both of these are scaled to fit in the window. Both of these are looking at it in full. And if you look at the bottom, you'll see that I can see the paint drops in the edge of this board. But if you look over here, you can see that we do not see the drops edge or the edge of that board. Because like I said, it does zoom in, because if it is zoomed out, you're going to see black lines on the left and the right for it trying to adjust the fact that you're shaking left and right. So it's going to add that, so that's why it zooms in, so you can just see the video and not have those extra black edges. So we're going to go ahead and we'll do the same thing for your other clip. So let's go back to your media browser. Let's get your warp stabilizer too, and I'm going to put it right next to the other one. I'm going to move my playhead over it. Again, remember the tripod is your friend, but there are certain instances you cannot use a tripod. Like shooting sports, they do not let you take tripods on the edge of the football field because that's dangerous for you and the player, and you're taking up a lot of space. So we're going to do the same thing. So after I got to that from the media browser, I'm going to go to my effects tab, and I'm going to go to Warp Stabilizer. Click, hold, drag, and drop. It's going to analyze and adjust it for me. And like I said, when you look at the tutorials on Adobe Premiere's professional website, I looked at tutorial on Creative Cow to double check. All the professionals that I have watched have said they just use the default setting. You can adjust the settings. However, from what I've saw through the tutorials and what I've read and experienced, using the default setting is often your best setting, because having the black edges isn't that great. So again, you can see that if I go back to the media browser and load it into my source, you'll see that here I see more of the table. Here I see less of the table, because again, it's zooming in. So if you already shoot very, very tight and your composition is tight, it might crop into the person's head if you're doing an interview just a little bit. However, you should always want to shoot and make it so you don't necessarily have to do this. So I'm going to watch it in here without the stabilizer. Shaky left and right, up and down. Now let's watch it here from our program, which is from our sequence. Play. You can see it's barely moving. It's just kind of hovering. So after you apply these warp stabilizers, what I want you to do is use your three-way color corrector, and I want you to color correct these clips. They're not that bad. This one's a little pink, a little green, but not too bad. This one has a little bit of a color cast, but not much. If you only have a very small minor color cast, it makes your life a little bit easier. So it's like I said, it's always important to be more technical and critical when you are shooting, because minor adjustments, if you make them, your color will still look great. Your audio will still sound good. But if you're just like, oh, I'll fix it in post, and you have a lot of audio problems, bad audio recorded tends to be bad audio after the edit. Sometimes you can make it sound good. Other times, things are definitely going to suffer. Like you saw when we did the noise print. When we did the noise print, the first clip, remember their voices sounded pingy when we got rid of that annoying background noise. But the second one with the same people in it didn't have that problem because his voice was louder and at a different frequency. However, the human voice does have a tendency to be in that frequency range that a lot of our distracting noises are in. So again, you're going to color correct both these clips. Then you're going to put an in point at the beginning and out point at the end. I do not want any black video between them, so make sure they're butted up against each other. I just want the clips that you added the warp stabilizer to. I do not need the ones that you put down there for comparison purposes. And then when you're done, you're going to go up to File, Export Media after you color correct it. And I'll leave this up here so you can see it, how to export it. Because this is HD footage, we're going to export it as a HD 1080i 2997 H.264 AAC 48 kilohertz. So remember, your H.264 is your video codec. That's the format and dealing with how the video is and interlace and things like that. Your 2997 is the frame rate. HD stands for high def. Your AAC is your audio codec. It's how your audio is formatted. And your 48,000 kilohertz is your audio. So again, you're going to leave it as QuickTime, and you're going to click on Preset, and then you do want to change the output name and the output location. So you can do that by clicking on Output Name, like you've done so many times before. And you're going to call it your first initial, last name, Warp. And then you're going to export it. Now remember, you've heard me say this since the beginning of the semester, check your export. Make sure it plays properly. Make sure it looks the way you want to look and that it has the proper name. I'm still getting people sending me files that are not exported with the proper name. I had somebody send me their video package project file and not the project. That is not going to fly in the industry. If you go in the industry and you send them the project file for the 6 o'clock news, they go to take your video and it doesn't play, your boss is not going to be happy. You have to be technical and mindful as well as creative with broadcasting. So if you send me the project file, it's a 0. Being technical is part of this degree, it's part of this major, it's part of this industry. So you always want to double check your work. It's annoying, but after I make an edit, I check my edit. Before I'm ready to export, I go and I check my video one more time. After I export it, I watch it. You need to do these things to make sure that you're catching any errors, or that to make sure that everything is playing properly. So after that, you just export it and send it to me via file sender. You can put in your subject for me your name, warp, so I know who it's coming from, just in case you forget to export it properly. But export it properly. Like you see on our grade sheets, exporting it at the proper format and the proper file name is worth points. So don't lose those free, easy points. It's very easy to get those points, so make sure that you do export it as your first initial, last name, warp. And that is it.
Do we need to get rid of the black space that's like attached to the first camera, like to the second?
Yeah, you can get rid of that little black space. You can adjust it by trimming it. Remember, you can trim it by going to the end of the clip and using your arrow and just trimming over. You can also use the blade tool and cut it.